Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we'll interview Anil, a Turkish corporate professional who made a fresh start here in Florida with an E-2 visa after investing in a Pure Green juice and smoothie franchise. He and his family have settled in Aventura, and we'll dive into what motivated his move to America, why he chose a specific franchise, and his experience with the visa process. If you're short on time, feel free to skip to the final part of the video where I'll be summarizing our conversation. Patrick Findaro here, co-founder at Visa Franchise. We're in beautiful Aventura, Florida. Anil Pakel, E-2 Visa investor, invested in a franchise concept called Pure Green, was nice enough to welcome me to his condominium, which isn't bad. Anil, thanks so much for taking the time to sit down.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your series.
So we have some things in common. I guess first, the same doctor delivered our two children.
Yeah.
There's a lot to go through today because Visa Franchise, we're mostly focused on the business aspect, but more and more it's about how to facilitate every step along the way, whether it's, with the healthcare or the schools or the education. Obviously the business is still the pinnacle, but there's a lot that goes into the family move, and those are some of the aspects that I'd love to get into a little bit. But before we go down that path, why the US? Why move to America from Turkey? I've been to Istanbul. It's an amazing city.
Yeah.
Turkey is an incredible place. My step-grandfather was Turkish. Why move to the US?
Yeah, actually, for sure. I mean, Istanbul is a great place, but it's gonna be a general answer, but we just wanted to take our shot to live in our American dreams. And we, went through a tough searching process. And then being an entrepreneur was always what I dreamed about. But the situation right nowadays in Turkey is not sustainable economically. So we went to less risky, let's say, and we want to just start in business in US.
So being an entrepreneur in Turkey, I can imagine hyperinflation. It's, I think, a top 5 worst countries in terms of inflation, political, the region too. I imagine there's just a lot going on, but I want to hear from you. Why start a business in the US versus in Turkey?
Yeah, actually, when I was in Turkey, I was working on the corporate culture. I was in my comfort zone, and I was living in a less risky life in Turkey when I compare the other lives. But when I jump out of my comfort zone, starting something new, when I compare starting with the US and the Turkey, and it made more sense to start in the US. And we were always talking about with my wife, and also her education, her background also from United States. She studied in United States. We back and forth multiple times to US. So we had an idea what's it gonna be look like, and can we start a new one. And as I said, American dream also catch us to come here, and we started.
And so besides South Florida, where else were you thinking, Anil, of moving to?
Yeah, actually, when you consider about how big the US is, it's pretty big. But I can say that we considered San Diego, California region, and the South Florida. All of them was good options for us in terms of environmentally, and the weather is perfect. Look at that weather. It's always sunny almost all days, except for hurricane season, of course. But when we have a chance to choose, we want something sunny, basically.
For sure. And yeah, I love San Diego, but you have to put on a wetsuit year-round.
Yeah.
You can't just go into the sea.
And also, the other reason, we always talk about the why Florida with my wife. And people come here for vacation. We are living here. It's a good thing when you consider.
Oh yeah, every weekend's a vacation here in Florida. And what was your process? I know you were going through this discovery during COVID, which I imagine caused some delays and...
Yeah, it was a long process. When I was working, at the same time I started to research. Also our paths crossed that road. We have met with Patrick on that road also. But everything started when I come here. I mean, when I see the realities, when I see I just imagine that how is it gonna be look like. And then we created a roadmap for us, and then we just started to do our checklist. And we basically moved here at the first place, and then we started to search on the field. I mean, it should be like that. Otherwise, I mean, from Turkey, that's a bit challenging. I mean, you need to see the environment. You need to spend some time, more than 3 months maybe, because it's a big challenge, big movement for your life. You are gonna start from the scratch. It's gonna be challenging, but you need to evaluate the situation by spending some time.
Did you come first on a B1, B2 visa?
Yeah.
And you were able to spend more time and then make the decision to switch over to E2?
That's the way we choose.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for our clients that are coming from Canada, Colombia, where they can jump on a 2-hour flight. But if you're coming, it's a 12-hour flight to Istanbul, it's harder to go back and forth. And if you have the time,
and more costly.
More costly. So I've seen that a lot, especially our clients from Asia, where it's with the time zone change and everything, we're just able to get so much more done when they're actually physically here on a B1, B2, and really evaluate the opportunities that present themselves. And in terms of types of businesses, were you set on investing in a business that had a physical premise, like Pure Green, that the customers come to you? Or did you also look at different businesses, like service type businesses, that you would be serving the customer at their house or office, for example?
At the first place, we considered all the options, but we end up with the idea that if we go with something like a permanent store, like existing retail store, it's gonna be, we think that it's gonna be in line with our backgrounds. I mean, because it's more suitable for us when we consider our backgrounds, it's gonna be more easier, it's gonna be more suitable for us. That's why we always considered at the last place like Pure Green, like other brands as well, but at the end of the day, we end up with the Pure Green brand.
Great. And why an existing franchise rather than buying an existing independent business?
Yeah, there are some pros and cons when you consider the franchise system and the standing alone, store, right? It comes with some cons, but when I evaluate the pros and cons, the pros is higher. I mean, you are starting from the scratch. I mean, that's a new country, that's a new environment, new language, the second language. There are tons of barriers you need to pass through. But when you go with the franchise, one way or another, there is someone here to at least help you. I mean, when you have some difficulties, you can ask, just
lean on the franchisor, talk to franchisees.
There are someone here to help you to pass through that difficulties. That's also important because you don't know what to do at some point.
For sure. And I'm sure it could be items, whether it's related to the physical product, food in this case you're selling, or the employees. What Pure Green is, I see it as a health conscious food establishment where I've tried their acai bowls, which are incredible, different sandwiches, smoothies. How do you describe Pure Green, and what type of customers do you serve at your franchise?
Yeah, actually, as I share with you, I'm coming from corporate background. So I don't have any background on the physical locations like a restaurant business. And you know what? You don't need to when you go with something like Pure Green, because when you consider the business plan, their way of doing, you can get training in 2 weeks. And that's a big advantage. You are not depending on a chef or people. You can, when someone quits, you can cover that, missing part. That's the biggest important thing, because depending on something in the business life, it's gonna be another risk, especially when you are new in the country. That's why, we choose the Pure Green, and also it's a growing trend in United States as well. They are the fastest growing juice bar in the US.
Exactly, yeah. They've had crazy net unit growth, and I've been impressed by by Ross's trajectory, and we've had him on our YouTube channel in the past, and I've been to a few of your locations. But yeah, definitely, it seems like, you know, in 5 years it's gonna be very interesting, because what we were talking about earlier, brand, it compounds over time.
Yeah, it should be promising.
You'll
also
have the benefit of the increased brand awareness,
Yeah.
and it can become more of a destination than it might be today.
Yeah, that's our hope.
And how is it in terms of, I know you didn't run a business in Turkey, but in hiring employees, training employees, the regulations, you mentioned the franchise business model with Pure Green, the employees can be trained and you're not so reliant on one key employee, but how have you found it managing people here in the US?
Yeah, actually the hardest part is the employee part, because it's a juice bar at the end of the day. The retention of the employees, it's all depending on you. You need to know how to manage people. Just because thanks to our, background, I'm able to manage people. Actually, I love to manage those kind of stuff. I enjoy to do that stuff in my store, and also it's a healthy place. I love what I do in the place. That's the most important thing. You need to enjoy your business. You need to enjoy with your employees. You can hire in line with the same mindset. So far, so good.
And I mentioned earlier, we had the same doctor, just by coincidence, delivered both of our daughters. What was that experience like, having a child in the US, your wife giving birth here in the States?
Yeah, actually having a child is like a blessing situation. When we spend some time with her, we are still realizing the fact that it's something miracle. But having a kid in US comes with some, benefits. Of course, dual citizenship, free education in US. Those are the also other components that we thought about at the first place. Her future and everything. Those are the important things.
I guess a little bit from what I've seen with our clients, it's not so much about you and your wife, it's about the next generation. What's best for the kids, and how can they lead the most fulfilled life possible?
Yeah, at least we can offer the second path for them. That's what we are trying to do right now.
And Anil, how do you see later on in terms of maintaining those relationships in Turkey? Do you see yourself going back for, the summer, a couple of months at a time? How do you see you and your family that you're building here?
Yeah, actually, it's far away from US, and we missed our close friends, families. The bonds in Turkey is tired. But at the first place, we need to, make everything smooth here in terms of business perspective. After that, of course, our initial plan is to back and forth to Turkey.
Not a bad lifestyle.
Yeah.
So Anil, there are so many different ways that people move to the United States, especially through the E-2 visa. You can start your own business. You could buy an existing independent business. You could buy an existing franchise. You could start your own franchise. Why did you decide to go the franchise path instead of starting your own independent business or some of the other options?
Actually, you know what? It's less risky at the first place. You need some supportive components in the area. So franchisor is the one who help you throughout the process, and also there are tons of paperwork throughout the road, and you need some help for that paperwork for the E-2 visa as well. When it's an established business, you can easily get an access to those components, and it makes your way easier. But I would like to also explain the situation. We also invest in an existing store, because when I also take a look to the Florida market, because I'm not an expert of other states, the permits takes long time. That's why we decided to purchase an existing business instead of starting from the scratch, because it also takes a lot of time, a lot of more paperwork, and it seems smarter for us.
Definitely. And I guess one advantage I've seen too with an existing franchise versus an independent business is the access to the data and information that whoever the seller of that franchise, you can verify that with the franchisor, verify it with franchisees. And I've seen horror stories where like an E-2 visa investor buys an existing trucking business or some existing education business, and the seller just goes and starts a competing business. Where if it's a franchise brand, usually the franchisor would enter into litigation and stop that seller from starting some random business and trying to basically take your clients and employees. Anil, how did you go about the discovery process, not just from selecting the business, but deciding where to move, health insurance, all that? What resources did you use to make this transition as smooth as possible to the US?
Yeah, actually before coming here, we did a research, of course, from online. We used Google, YouTube, we watched tons of videos. We talked with people, with you, with other people. We did our research, but at the end of the day, when we come here, we face with the realities. We also talk with the people in person. That also help us because you need to evaluate the situation on the ground. So when they come here, talk with the different people. When you combine the ideas, basically you need to spend some time on the research. That's the maybe most important thing because you are putting a serious amount of money into that business, into your new life. I would rather not to risk that amount of money and my life. That's why we wanted to go with a safer path.
That makes sense. Yeah, sadly, we've witnessed interviewing thousands of entrepreneurs what can happen when things don't go well, whether that's issues with your spouse, health concerns. I interviewed a franchisee in Massage Envy a while back who had a heart attack with the business. He himself getting into a business that he wasn't expecting and thought the margins were better, and he suffered a heart attack. So it can be really serious, and I think I agree with you. The best way is to vet as much as possible, and to the extent that you can meet people face to face and pick up on their non-verbal communication.
Yeah.
Not just what they're saying in writing, but their body language. I think that's pretty priceless.
Yeah, and also you need to, listen your heart, listen your instinct about the
gut instinct.
Yeah, gut instinct. Yeah.
Anil, how did working with experts here in the United States help navigate your decision making and transition here?
Actually, it's very beneficial for you, especially when you face with the problem. Because let me give you an example. I started my health insurance at the very first place as soon as I can, and then the health insurance covered my birth process.
And that could be like 10,000 plus.
Yeah, but if we haven't done it on time, it's gonna be more costly. You won't know what happens next.
So working with experts, you're able to do things in advance that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Yes.
Anil, thanks so much for opening the doors to your life here in Florida. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It was great to spend some time with Anil, learn a bit more about what his winning formula was in terms of making his American dream a reality. He continued to reinforce the word expert throughout the interview, and whether that was through partnering with a great franchise system like Pure Green, that is with him every step along the way as he operates his business, as he hires employees, as he trains employees, or even on the health insurance side and making sure that he had the proper health insurance coverage before having his daughter be born here in the United States. So it's exciting to see Anil's trajectory moving from Turkey to the United States. And it seems by all aspects that he's made a very smooth transition for him and his family. If there's anything we can do to help you make a smooth transition to the United States, whether it's starting your own business, buying a franchise, we're happy to help you every step along the way so you can move to the United States, secure that visa, and if your ultimate dream is getting a green card and American citizenship, we'll be with you up until you reach that dream. If you'd like to get more information on our services and solutions at Visa Franchise, I encourage you to visit our website at visafranchise.com You can fill out a short questionnaire on our client application. It shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes, and one of my colleagues will be in contact to schedule a call within 24 hours. Thanks again, and hope you enjoyed today's video.